Chosen one, have you ever been put on the spot, tested by people who doubted you, only to realize that their words have no power over you? They come at you with questions, accusations, and challenges, thinking they can shake you. But deep down, you already know the truth. You were made for this. Their words don't define you. Their doubt doesn't weaken you. And today, you're going to learn exactly how to answer them like a boss every single time. Chosen one, the world is watching you. They are waiting for you to slip, to stutter, to second-guess yourself. They act like they're curious, but their questions are laced with doubt, disguised as concern. They want to see if you're as strong as you claim, if your faith is real, if your confidence is just a mask. But here's what they don't understand: you don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. Because when you speak with divine authority. When you stand firm, no storm can move you. And today, I'm going to reveal exactly why they keep testing you, how to respond with unshakable confidence, and the secret that will make sure no one ever shakes you again. So if you resonate with this message, like this video and comment 77 right now. Let's send a message to them that you are ready. Stay locked in until the very end, because what I'm about to reveal will change the way you answer forever. Why people always test the chosen ones. They don't test you because they are curious. They test you because they sense something different about you, something they can't quite put their finger on but can't ignore either. Have you ever walked into a room and felt eyes on you before you even said a word? Have you ever had people question your choices, your beliefs, your confidence, acting as if they're trying to understand you, when in reality they're trying to find a way to undermine you? That feeling, that energy, that invisible resistance you face isn't random. The spiritual, the moment you start walking in your calling, standing firm in your truth, and radiating unshakable confidence, something happens. People get uncomfortable. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your presence alone is a disruption. You are no longer blending in, no longer shrinking to make others feel comfortable. And that chosen one is exactly why they test you. It's not about curiosity, it's about control. The world has always been uncomfortable with those who refuse to conform, those who challenge the status quo by simply existing in their power. This is why your journey feels isolating at times. They will question your choices, your faith, and even your purpose, not because they want answers, but because they are hoping to find cracks in your armor. They want to see doubt in your eyes, hesitation in your voice. It reassures them that they were right about you, that you are not as sure of yourself as you appear to be. But what they fail to understand is that your confidence is not a performance. It is a product of divine preparation. When you have been refined by trials, when you have walked through the fire and come out stronger, there is no external force that can shake you. And that frustrates them, because deep down, they are not testing you to find the truth. They are testing you in the hope that you will stumble, that you will break, that you will prove them right in their disbelief. But what happens when you don't? What happens when you stand firm, when you refuse to waver, when your presence alone shatters their illusions? That is when the real battle begins. The testing of the chosen ones is not a new phenomenon. It is a pattern that has existed for centuries. In the book of Amos, we see a prophet called to deliver a message that no one wanted to hear. Amos was not from a priestly lineage. He was not a scholar. He was a shepherd, a simple man called by God to speak truth to power. And because of this, he was met with resistance. In Amos 7 verses 12 to 13, Amaziah, a priest of Bethel, told him to stop prophesying, to go somewhere else, essentially telling him that he had no right to speak on divine matters. But Amos stood firm. He did not shrink. He declared, "I was no prophet, neither was I a prophet's son, but I was a herdman and a gatherer of sycamore fruit. And the Lord took me as I followed the flock, and the Lord said unto me, Go, prophesy unto my people Israel." The world did not choose Amos. The religious establishment did not anoint him. God did, and that was enough. His authority did not come from man. It came from the divine. And because of that, his words carried weight, his presence carried power. This is the same dynamic at play when people test you. They see something in you that was not given by them, and that unsettles them. But here's where everything shifts, when you start recognizing the signs of transformation in your own life. Have you noticed that the more confident you become, the more resistance you face? Have you realized that the moment you stop seeking validation, people start trying harder to invalidate you? This is no accident. This is the spiritual realm adjusting to your elevation. The moment you start stepping into your divine authority, things begin to shift. Opportunities appear, certain people fade away, and new alliances form. This is what it looks like when God aligns you with your purpose. But with this alignment comes opposition. People who once ignored you will suddenly have opinions about everything you do. They will question your motives, your methods, and even your right to take up space. But this is where you must stand firm. Because every time you choose to remain unshaken, every time you refuse to react, you are reinforcing your spiritual position. You are proving both to them and to yourself that your foundation is unbreakable. This is divine intervention at work. You are being prepared, strengthened, and elevated to a level where their tests no longer affect you. So now the question is, what will you do? Will you shrink back? Will you let their doubts seep into your mind? Or will you step fully into your power, knowing that their tests are nothing more than distractions? Because here's the truth. The people who question you today will either respect you tomorrow or remove themselves from your path entirely. That's the way it always plays out. No one can deny the power of someone who remains unmovable. No one can shake someone who has been divinely positioned. They can test you all they want, but what they will soon realize is that their words, their doubts, their attempts to make you question yourself, none of it matters. Because you were built for this. You were chosen for this. And no amount of questioning will change that. If this resonates with you, comment, "I know why" below. Let them know that you see through their games and you are no longer playing. How to answer with confidence and authority. They question you because they want to see you doubt yourself. They challenge you because they hope to find a crack in your confidence. Have you ever noticed that the moment you start standing firm in your truth, people suddenly feel the need to interrogate you? Why do you believe this? What makes you so sure? Who do you think you are? These aren't innocent questions. They're designed to destabilize you, to make you hesitate, to force you into a position where you feel the need to justify yourself. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Your power isn't in defending yourself. It's in knowing who you are and refusing to waver. The moment you stop feeling the need to explain yourself to people who were never going to understand in the first place, you reclaim your energy. Because a chosen one doesn't beg for permission to exist. A chosen one doesn't negotiate their truth. You speak, and your words carry weight. You stand, and your presence commands attention. That's why they test you, because deep down, they know they have no power over someone who refuses to waver. But here's where most people fall into the trap. When someone challenges them, they scramble for the perfect response, as if the right words will somehow convince their doubters to respect them. This is a losing battle because their doubt was never about logic, it was about power. They don't actually want answers, they want control. And the moment you engage on their terms, you've already lost ground. You've placed yourself in the position of a defendant, as if your truth is something that needs to be proven or debated. But Jesus never played that game. When he was tested, he never answered with uncertainty. He wasn't hoping he was right, he knew. In Luke 20 verses 20 to 26, when the Pharisees tried to trap him with a question about paying taxes to Caesar, he didn't fall into their snare. Instead, he answered with wisdom and authority, silencing them. That's the power of a chosen one. You don't react, you respond. And when you respond, you do it with absolute certainty. Because the truth doesn't need defending. The truth simply is. This is where you must shift your mindset. Stop thinking that you need to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop believing that if you just find the right words, they'll suddenly respect your truth. Your confidence doesn't come from their approval. It comes from your alignment with divine truth. In the book of Zephaniah, the prophet speaks of a time when God will remove all pride and arrogance, leaving only a people who speak the truth boldly and without fear. Zephaniah 3 verses 12 to 13 says, "I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of the Lord. The remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies. neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. The ones who remain, the ones who walk in divine power, do not need to manipulate, persuade, or prove themselves. They simply stand in truth. And that's your calling, to be unshakable, to trust so deeply in the power that backs you that no amount of questioning, no amount of scrutiny can make you second-guess yourself. When you begin to embody this truth, you'll notice something strange happening. People will either be drawn to your confidence or they will be repelled by it. Some will respect you without knowing why. Others will become more aggressive, more desperate to break you. This is a sign of transformation, because when you shift into true authority, the world around you is forced to respond. The old dynamics won't work anymore. The people who once had power over you will find that their words no longer affect you. The situations that used to shake you will suddenly feel insignificant. And most importantly, you will stop feeling the need to perform, to impress, to convince. You will simply exist in your truth, and that will be enough. That's when divine intervention starts opening doors you never expected. That's when opportunities appear, not because you begged for them, but because you walked in alignment. That's when people begin to listen, not because you argued your point perfectly, but because they can feel the weight of your certainty. So here's the real question. Are you ready to own your authority? Are you ready to stop explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand you in the first place? Are you ready to walk in such unshakable confidence that no test, no question, no accusation can make you waver? Because once you make this shift, everything changes. Your presence alone will demand respect. Your energy will carry weight, and you will no longer feel the need to justify what has already been divinely ordained. If this message resonates with you, comment, "I speak with authority" below. Let the world know that you refuse to be shaken. Let them question, let them doubt, because from this moment forward, you are unshakable. Before I reveal why silence is your most powerful weapon, make sure you subscribe, share this video, and if you feel led, hit the super thanks button to support this channel, because this knowledge needs to be spread so that every chosen one walks in their full power. Now, let's talk about why you must never defend yourself, only declare. Why you must never defend, only declare. Chosen one, have you ever felt like no matter what you say, no matter how much truth you speak, people still refuse to accept it? They don't ask you questions to understand. They ask to provoke, to challenge, to make you second-guess yourself. You've probably noticed this pattern. When you explain yourself, when you try to justify your beliefs, it never satisfies them. They always find another angle, another way to twist your words, another way to make it seem like your truth is somehow incomplete or invalid. This is not because they are seeking clarity. It's because they are looking for control. The moment you start defending yourself, you are no longer standing in your authority. You are reacting to their agenda. And that's exactly what they want. They want to pull you into their game, to make you prove yourself as if their approval matters. But here's the truth. Your power isn't in defending. It's in declaring. Because when you declare, you stand in your authority. And when you stand in your authority, there is nothing they can do to shake you. This is why they keep questioning you. They know that if they can get you into a defensive posture, they have already won. When someone attacks your character, your beliefs, or your purpose, your first instinct might be to explain, to make them see your side, to prove your sincerity, to remove any doubt. But here's the hard truth. They aren't looking for understanding. They are looking for weakness. Every time you explain, you give them something to argue against. Every time you justify, you invite more questions. It's a never-ending cycle designed to drain you, to keep you stuck in a loop of trying to prove yourself instead of simply being who you are. Think about it. Do lions explain why they roar? Do kings ask for permission to rule? No, because authority does not beg. It does not negotiate. It simply is. This is the mindset shift you need to embrace. The moment you stop explaining yourself to those who will never understand, you take your power back. And when you take your power back, they have nothing left to hold against you. Jesus understood this principle perfectly. In Matthew 27 verses 12 to 14, when he was accused before Pilate, he did not defend himself. He did not argue, he did not explain, he did not try to prove his innocence. He remained silent. Why? Because he had nothing to prove. His truth was not up for debate. He knew that no explanation would change the minds of those who had already decided to reject him. And that's the position you must take as a chosen one. When you know who you are, when you are secure in your purpose, you do not engage in debates meant to undermine your authority. In the book of Habakkuk, the prophet cries out about the injustice of the world, questioning why the wicked seem to prevail. And God's response is simple: the just shall live by his faith. Habakkuk 2 verse 4. Not by explanation, not by justification, by faith. This means standing firm even when others doubt, even when they question, even when they demand proof. Faith is not about proving, it's about knowing. And when you know, you don't have to explain. You declare. When you shift into this level of certainty, everything changes. Suddenly, people's words don't have the same power over you. Their accusations fall flat. Their attempts to shake you fail. You begin to notice that the more confident you become, the less they know how to respond. Why? Because they were never looking for answers, they were looking for insecurity. And when they can't find it, they don't know what to do. This is when true transformation begins. You will start to see people back off, not because they finally understand you, but because they realize they can't control you. You will notice that opportunities open up, doors that were once closed begin to unlock. Not because you convinced anyone, but because your alignment with divine truth is now unshakable. The moment you stop seeking external validation, the world has no choice but to adjust to your certainty. This is divine intervention in action. When you declare your truth boldly and stand in it without fear, God aligns everything in your favor. People who were once obstacles will either remove themselves from your path or be forced to acknowledge your presence. Because truth carries weight, and when you embody it fully, it cannot be ignored. So what will you choose? Will you keep engaging with those who will never understand you? Will you keep explaining yourself to those who are not even listening? Or will you take your rightful place, knowing that your truth does not need permission to exist? There is power in standing firm. There is power in refusing to engage in meaningless debates. There is power in simply being, in knowing, in walking with the kind of confidence that does not need validation. That is the kind of authority you were meant to carry. And once you step into it, there is no going back. If you are ready to stop explaining yourself and start declaring your truth, comment, "I declare," below. Let them know that their questions no longer have power over you. Let them see that you refuse to be shaken. Because from this moment forward, you will never defend yourself again. You will only declare. The power of silence and composure. They are waiting for you to react. They push, they provoke, they prod at your emotions, hoping to get a rise out of you. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to test your patience? Not because they want an answer, but because they want a reaction? It's not about understanding, it's about control. They feed off your frustration, off your need to defend yourself, off your desire to be understood. And when you give in, when you raise your voice, when you try to explain yourself to those who were never listening in the first place, they win. But when you refuse to engage, when you hold your composure, when you remain unmoved by their words, they have nothing to work with. Your silence makes them uneasy because it exposes their own instability. When you don't react, they are forced to sit with their own energy, their own insecurities, their own chaos. And that chosen one is what they truly fear, not your words, but your ability to stand firm without saying a thing. Silence is one of the most powerful weapons in spiritual warfare, yet so many underestimate it. In a world where everyone is rushing to speak, where everyone is quick to argue, to debate, to prove their point, the ability to remain silent is rare, and rare things are valuable. Think about the times when people have tried to pull you into an argument, when they have twisted your words, when they have accused you unjustly. Your instinct may have been to defend yourself, to set the record straight, to make them see the truth. But did it ever truly work? Did they walk away changed? Or did they continue twisting, continue arguing, continue draining your energy? That's because their goal was never resolution, it was distraction. When you engage with them, you are playing their game. And their game is built on deception, manipulation, and chaos. The only way to win is not to play. This is why silence is so powerful, because it shifts the energy. It takes away their ability to control the conversation. It forces them to face their own noise while you remain at peace. The Bible is filled with moments where silence carried more weight than words. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 7 reminds us, "A time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak." The wisest warriors know that not every battle is won with words. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is no statement at all. Take Jesus, for example. When he was brought before Pilate in Matthew 27 verses 12 to 14, he was accused, mocked, and questioned, yet he did not defend himself. He remained silent. Why? Because he knew that no explanation would change the hearts of those who had already made up their minds. He understood that his purpose was not to convince them, it was to fulfill his mission. And that is exactly the mindset you must embrace. Your mission is not to make them understand. Your mission is to stay in alignment with God's purpose for your life, and sometimes that means knowing when to speak and when to be silent. The enemy thrives in confusion, in endless debates, in draining conversations that lead nowhere. But when you stay silent, when you refuse to be pulled into their storm, you remain in control. And here's where everything starts to shift. When you master the power of silence, you will begin to notice how people react differently to you. The same ones who used to poke at you, who used to get under your skin, will start to lose their grip. You will see them get frustrated when their words no longer provoke a response. You will see them scrambling for ways to shake you, but they won't be able to. Why? Because you are no longer engaging in their battle. You are operating on a higher frequency. This is when divine intervention becomes evident in your life. The more you practice silence, the more clarity you gain. The more you hold your peace, the more God fights on your behalf. Doors will open not because you argued your way through, but because you stayed aligned. Opportunities will present themselves, not because you forced your way in, but because you let God work in your silence. Your enemies will become confused, because they will realize that their weapons, manipulation, deception, provocation, no longer work on you. And once they realize they cannot shake you, they will have no choice but to step back. So now, chosen one, the choice is yours. Will you keep explaining yourself to those who were never meant to understand you? Will you keep reacting, giving away your power every time someone pushes your buttons? Or will you embrace the power of silence, knowing that true strength doesn't always need to be spoken? Your silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. Your composure is not passive, it is strategic. And when you learn to use them correctly, you will see how effortlessly you can shift the atmosphere around you. If you are ready to walk in this level of authority, comment, "I am unbothered" below. Let them know that their words no longer have power over you. Let them see that you have mastered the art of standing firm without saying a word. Because from this moment forward, your silence will be your greatest strength. This is the final key, the ultimate secret to making sure no challenge, no test, no enemy ever catches you off guard again. How to stay ready for any challenge. Chosen one, this isn't just about winning one battle. It's about being prepared for everything that comes your way. You've already seen how the world moves. You've already felt the weight of being tested, questioned, and doubted. It doesn't stop. The moment you elevate, the challenges evolve. The enemy doesn't attack where you are weak, he attacks where you are growing. This is why you can't afford to be caught off guard. The ones who try to break you are studying your every move, waiting for a moment of weakness, hoping you'll falter. But what they don't realize is that you were built for this. Every trial, every storm, every moment of resistance has only made you stronger. And now it's no longer about simply surviving. It's about being so prepared, so sharpened, that nothing can shake you. They may come at you, but when you are already fortified, when your mind, spirit, and heart are aligned with divine truth, their attacks have no impact. You don't hesitate, you don't stumble, because you already know what to do. You are not reacting, you are responding with power. But here's where many fall short. They wait until the storm comes to seek shelter. They wait until the attack happens to start praying, start seeking wisdom, start looking for strength. But by then, it's too late. Preparation is not something you do in crisis. It's something you do every single day. A warrior does not wait until the battle begins to pick up their sword. A soldier does not wait until the enemy is at the gate to start training. And as a chosen one, You cannot wait until you are being tested to start strengthening your faith. Every single day, you must be sharpening yourself. You must be staying prayed up, staying disciplined, staying immersed in the Word so that when the time comes, you don't have to think, you just respond. This is what separates those who fold under pressure from those who stand firm. This is what makes the difference between those who are easily shaken and those who remain unmovable. The level of opposition you face is a direct reflection of the level of purpose inside you. So ask yourself, are you preparing daily, or are you waiting until the test comes? This is why Ephesians 6 verse 11 is not just a suggestion, it is a command. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. This is not about occasional protection. This is not about temporary strength. This is about being covered every single day. The armor of God is not just for battle, it is for lifestyle. The belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, each piece is necessary. Each piece is designed to keep you ready at all times. And this is what your enemies don't realize. They think they can catch you slipping. They think they can surprise you, shake you, make you second-guess yourself. But what they don't understand is that you don't just prepare when you see the attack coming, you stay prepared. You live in a state of spiritual discipline. You do not waver because you are already covered. They don't understand how you keep standing, why you never seem to break. But it's because they can only see the battle, they don't see the preparation. They don't see the nights you spent in prayer, the discipline you've built, the foundation you've fortified. And because they don't see it, they assume it's not there. But that's their mistake, not yours. And here's how you'll start noticing the shift. When you stay ready, you move differently. The things that used to shake you will no longer have an effect. The people who once had access to your emotions will no longer be able to trigger you. The situations that once felt overwhelming will start to feel insignificant. This is because preparation builds confidence. When you know you're ready, when you know you're covered, there is no fear. You no longer hesitate when challenges come because you've already built the spiritual muscle to handle them. And this is where divine intervention becomes undeniable. Because the more you prepare, the more aligned you become. Suddenly, things start working in your favor. Doors open, opportunities align. The enemy's attacks no longer land the way they used to. Why? Because you are not operating from a place of fear, you are operating from a place of power. And this is what they don't understand. They can't comprehend why you don't panic, why you don't react the way they expect you to. But it's because you have something they don't: divine preparation. And when you are spiritually prepared, nothing can take you by surprise. You know how it feels to walk into a room and sense the tension before a word is even spoken. The looks, the whispers, the subtle resistance when you dare to speak with authority. You have carried the weight of misunderstanding, of being questioned at every turn, of having to prove yourself in ways others never had to. Maybe they doubted your wisdom, challenged your strength, or dismissed your vision because it intimidated them. Maybe you found yourself dimming your own light just to make others comfortable, playing small to avoid the inevitable pushback that comes when you walk in your God-given power. And yet, even in those moments of hesitation, something inside you refused to shrink completely. Because the truth is, you were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to conform. And now, that undeniable power within you is starting to show, and the world is taking notice. This is not new. The chosen have always been tested. In Acts 4, Peter and John stood before the religious leaders, questioned and challenged for boldly preaching the truth. They were ordinary men, fishermen, untrained in formal religious schooling. Yet they spoke with such wisdom and confidence that their enemies marveled. And they took knowledge of them, that they had been with Jesus. Acts 4 verse 13, KJV. That's the power of divine authority. When you carry something greater, when you are anointed to walk in truth, people will try to discredit you, just as they did with Peter and John. But notice this: they couldn't deny the power they carried. They couldn't refute the truth. Instead, they feared it. And that's exactly what happens when you step into your calling. Those who cannot control or understand your strength will try to suppress it. But like Peter and John, you don't need permission to walk in what God has given you. The proof is in your presence. The proof is in the authority that flows through you whether they acknowledge it or not. So let them come. Let them question, let them test, let them push back. It will not change what has already been settled. You were never built to be understood by everyone. You were never meant to fit neatly into their expectations. You were created to disrupt, to awaken, to shift the atmosphere. If this message empowered you, don't just keep it to yourself. Declare it. Comment "I am chosen" below and let them see the strength within you. Let them know that nothing and no one can break you. Subscribe, share, and spread this truth because the awakening is here and you are part of it.